All right. I'm Steven. This is my wife, Tori. We had been married 9 years, but life was not always this great. About a year and a half ago, little over a year and a half ago, we were on the verge of divorce. Um, I had just overdosed, I think twice back to back. She had to call the ambulance to get me resuscitated. Um, and we were at our wits' end. So one day I reached out to a place to try to get some help. I didn't have insurance, could not get in, but the place put me in touch with Hope Dealers, and I gave them a call. I talked to Miss Nadine, and she got me, I think, insurance within like 5 or 10 minutes on the phone. So then I got Tori in touch with Nadine, um, and she got insurance. And then for the first time ever, we tried to do treatment together as a family instead of just go in separate ways because we were really at the end of our road.
Yeah. Take it from
If
here.
you want to say something, yeah, she can splice.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to kind of give a little bit of backstory leading up to that point. We've been together for almost 12 years.
12 years.
And Stephen has been struggled with addiction longer than I have. And there was a lot of, we spent more time apart up until, a year and a half ago than we did together due to addiction. And so when we got to, our wits end last, what was it, the end of June, beginning of July, we were either gonna, die via overdose, we were gonna kill each other, or
Lose our kids.
lose our kids.
Defects was involved at the time.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like a sign from God, like, okay, you have wallered in your mess, you created a big old mess, and then now I'm about to show you, like who I am and my sovereignty. And he picked us up out of a hot mess and dropped us into Mount Sinai. And I feel like that was the most magical 30 days.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. What was really cool about it too is we checked in on July 4th, and I remember thinking like, wow, the irony and significance of independence. And it was really, it was that 30 days, and this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound like a brochure from outside, but that 30 days was probably like the most enjoyable 30 days of our marriage
Yeah.
that I think I had experienced up to that point.
Oh, yeah.
And then outside of there, we moved on. We went to sober living together. Um, Stayed there for a few months, and then got our own place in Roswell. Rocked right along for a little while. Um, so we got away from meetings. And that was the first thing. That's what I was going to say when she said, like God picked us up. What he did was like put us in touch with people. I feel like what he showed me like a year and a half ago was that there are people that care and want to help. And that's why I wanted to meet you and Mary so bad. I could not believe like that there were people out there that did not know who I was and that wanted to help us. Because I'd heard that before and never really seen it acted out.
I mean, and ever since then, like Nadine, you and Hope Dealers have been like, if we're talking about recovery at all, like you and Hope Dealers are always brought up. Anybody in recovery that, doesn't have insurance, they're trying to find a place, we're immediately call Hope Dealers. And I mean, I guess that kind of sounds cheesy too, but I mean, that just is just how significant of a role you played in us being where we are right now.
Yeah, I know this is like telling a story. I'm trying not like get emotional now that I'm like thinking back about it, and I'm not being. We were in a really, really bad place. Um, really bad. And our kids were in a really bad spot. And it's really easy to forget about that sometimes, because life gets good. Like we've really put in a lot of work over the past 18 months. And we did have a setback in December um, for about 30 days, and we went back to Mount Sinai. I think you helped us get back in there that time. And there was never any kind of like judgment. It was always like, hey, like we love you, keep going, we're doing great. Even when I didn't feel like I was doing great, I would talk to you or talk to some of the people that you put me in touch with, and they would be like, no, you're doing great. And like I had never had that before. Um, and I've started to believe that like maybe I really was worth saving, and and our marriage was worth saving. And now, like now up here where we're at, we get to help people. It's pretty incredible, really. A lot of times I'm thinking if you knew who was trying to help you or who you were asking advice from, you would turn and run the other way. But it happens more often than not, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like for the first time, and this sounds so cliche because you're hope dealers, but I feel like that's exactly what you helped me get was some hope. And I'm like excited about the future now. I really am. Um, we're both in school. Everybody when they go to treatment wants to be a substance abuse counselor, but this is something I've been like trying to slowly work towards for I don't know, 15 years that I've struggled with this. Um, but I never could like keep it together long enough. But I never was really at the bottom yet, I don't think, and that's just kind of where we got to a couple years ago. Um, and then once I was there, it was like the right people all of a sudden came into my life.
Very cool.
I love you.
Love you. Um, I mean, we still have our like hard days. We're still away from our kids. We've been away, from them for a year and a half. We have a kid in just about every phase, from 15 to 5, and we're missing some very like I don't know what the word for it is. I mean, crucial, memorable, formative years of their lives, and they are some badasses. Sorry, they are like they have just moved through this with us and have had so much grace for us. It's like what did we do to deserve y'all? And I mean,
Well, I think some of the crazy part of it too is that they're starting to see what we're doing
yeah.
uh, wear off or show itself in our parents. Like first, the way we treat each other. So whenever we do get visits with them, or talk to them on FaceTime or Zoom, I think they see how we're interacting with each other, and it's such a like 180-degree difference from what it used to be. They're like, what's going on? And then they get to see like how we're parenting them, and it's not closing the bedroom door and locking it for hours on time. I mean, that's what it used to be. Like them, I remember our 5-year-old, she was 3, and she would camp outside of our door. This is how bad it got, and fall asleep with her blanket, uh, and we just wouldn't come out. Or we'd come out and yell at them about something, or come out and talk. But it was really, I thought I was like doing a good job because I was trying to work and pay bills, but I was just not present at all. And I think they're seeing that now with what we're doing, and so it's starting to affect them in a positive way. Like they seem so beyond their years and maturity. And they're like rooting for us. There's times where I have, tough days, and I'm like, I miss y'all. I want to come home and see y'all. And they're like, hey, you're doing good. Stay where you're at and keep doing it because, we've never seen this happen before. And it feels really good. That's another thing. I've struggled with this for a long time. And I would always do the thing where I went away with great intentions, but then stuff would get either good and then I would get impatient and want to get back and fix it, or I just felt so guilty for being away. I couldn't stand being away. And I would always leave early before doing, I just never followed through. And it was always with like the best of intentions, or so I thought. But then I would come back home and it would be, there would have been no real treatment on my end, no real work in our relationship. Um, I was trying to like pass something to my kids that I didn't even have myself. I mean, really, you hear this in the rooms all the times, but I was really like a 13, 14-year-old emotionally stunted person trying to raise kids. And actions speak louder than words. I could tell them what I wanted, but the way I was behaving, and then it started to wear off in our marriage. Because for the longest time, she wouldn't have a drink with me. She wouldn't smoke a joint with me. And about 3, 4 years ago, I think when you're living around somebody that's sick for that long, it just kind of starts to wear off on everybody. And I remember being like, I'll have a glass of wine with you, or I'll try to hit the joint with you one time. And then the next thing you know, she's right there with me drinking a fifth of bourbon, before 5 p.m. and going to find, I don't want to get into naming specifics, but just stuff that was really bad. IV use, like near death, uh, had to be medically cleared off. I mean, it got every like cliche that you hear and kind of roll your eyes at that you don't think happens happen. Um, and it's just nothing like that today. And that's kind of what's encouraging, as I'm finally starting to see that, like, if I'll just be patient, really listen to these people that have no vested interest in helping me. Like, that's what's crazy about it. Like, what you're doing uh, is not making money off of me. It's done for no other reason than that you have a personal desire to want to help people. And like, if you could see the ripple that happens through me and in our relationship and then into our kids and then into our family and the people around us, and then that's just us. And if you're helping, golly, 30, 40, 50 people, and then you extrapolate that out, there's no telling how many families you're helping put back together.
Yeah.
I just, it's really mind blowing. I don't think about it enough. I really don't.
That's awesome. Hey, what do you think well, let me ask you, what has choosing a lifestyle of recovery brought into your life today? What good
Um, I mean, I think first and foremost, I know for me, my relationship with Jesus I've been able to, go back to that, rebuild that, remember who I am in Him. And that has allowed me to be a better wife, and a better mother. And I have hope and just get up and go, I want to do things. I feel like I can, and I don't feel like I'm drowned in at the bottom of a bottle, pretty much.
you're in classes, right?
Yes, we're in school. We're both in school. I'm going to Grand Canyon University. He's going to Purdue.
Purdue online.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I'm doing Bachelor's of Science in Addiction Studies, and she's doing a Bachelor's of Art in Addiction Counseling.
Bachelor of Science.
I thought she was
No.
well,
That's huge.
yeah, no, it's awesome.
You definitely have to have a lifestyle of recovery to be in that situation.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. I'm really loving it. And that's the thing, like, we're able to balance work, a recovery house, school, meetings, being parents, even though it's long distance, you're still parents, all that. And that, before, I couldn't balance getting up and going to the store. I mean, that was a non-attainable task. Yeah, I've got like, for me, I keep thinking I've got like some hope today. It's fixed. I won't say fixed. it feels like it's fixed our marriage, but what it's done is let me know that like that's always got to be worked on. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
hesitant to say fixed. It's always got to be a work in progress. Help me to be a better parent. But like the biggest thing, and it sounds kind of cheesy, but like when you were little and you woke up in the morning, I remember I used to be so excited. I didn't know what the day was going to bring. Like and had nothing planned. I might go climb a tree or something, you know, like, but I had kind of like that childlike excitement. Most days today, I kind of wake up with that, like, you know, just excited to be up and moving around. There's still hard days for sure. But I keep doing what I've been doing in those hard days. And eventually it flips around and I'm excited again. It's just like life is worth living. It's
Nice.
it's amazing.
Nice. So what would you guys say your pathway to recovery has been?
Definitely, we definitely attend 12-step meetings, AA, some NA. We have sponsors, but really it's bigger than that too. I would say like a network, developing real relationships with people that have been through what we've been through. I used to think that there was nobody that understood. There's plenty of people that understand. We've gotten a lot more active. You know, we don't lay around on the couch anymore all day long. We get up and hike. We're outdoors, trying to enjoy life, getting some exercise. And then just like genuinely trying to be interested in other people is a big thing. And I think that fosters relationships, like asking people how they're doing and how you can help. It makes me feel better. Um, and it makes me want to do better. It's kind of like a cyclical thing that actually is sustainable.
Nice. That's awesome. Tori, what's your pathway to recovery?
I mean, first and foremost, Jesus, you know, I have to, you know, harp on that and give him the credit because like I I have shown what happens when I drive. And I said, you know, a few days ago, I said, Lord, I'm at the point to where I just want you to blindfold me and throw me in the back of the trunk and let me know when we get where we're going. Because I'm done. I'm done driving and I'm done trying to, you know, orchestrate my life, you know, into this perfect little puzzle all by myself. And meetings, and my sponsor is fantastic. You know, she's a mother, and she really gets like the hurt that my heart feels not being able to be there for my babies, and you know the things that I put them through while I was using and drinking. And so that is a huge part of my recovery. And then just a community of women, you know, and that I can be silly with, you know, and kind of let down my guard and not have to, you know, worry about um really anything, you know, just some friends. I didn't really have that growing up, and I became a mother very young, and so like I've been momming for the past 15 years. And so just to be able to have that network and that community of some women is really boosted my confidence and made recovery look and feel like worth it, inviting, you know, a place to be. So yeah.
Nice. Wow. Thank you guys so much for sharing. That was freaking awesome. Great story. I think it'll inspire a lot of people.
I hope so.
Well,
I
anything
mean,
for you.
anything for
Like
you.
seriously. Like
Yeah.
I normally don't like doing stuff like this, but I have so much gratitude for you. Like like we talk. I wish you knew.
How much?
Like we'll be riding in the car and we'll be like, man, Nadine is killing it. Like we'll see it on Facebook. Like, they're doing such an awesome thing. Or somebody, I feel almost like I'm getting on your nerves sometimes because somebody will say like, hey, I need some help, or I don't have insurance. And I'm like, hey, call this woman.
Yes.
And if she doesn't respond, I'll be like, tell her Stephen Dear told you to call. And then they'll call me back and be like, damn, when I said Stephen told me to call, she called me right back. I was like, God, this woman, like, how is she this awesome?
Of
Like, you don't
course.
know what you do for people.
Yes.
Wow.
I've been in, I've worked in detoxes, substance abuse detoxes forever, even before I became, alcoholic. And, I would come across patients that didn't have insurance, and they were in a life or death situation, and I gave them your number, and, told them, tell her Tori told you to call, and like they'll come back 30 minutes later in tears, so happy that
Yeah,
they
like
have.
I've seen people crying, like
Yes.
literally come back and cry and being like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got insurance.
And like that opens up so many doors for people, like it's so crazy to think like that being such a barrier for people to get sober and to
unbelievable.
get help. Like it kind of
It's
it makes me
unbelievable.
angry, that is such a it's so fixable, but
Nobody knows.
nobody knows, and when we're in addiction and we're coming out of it, we're trying to get sober, we don't know our head from our ass, let alone, the pathway to navigate, to sobriety. And, having someone like you with Hope Dealers just kind of say, like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then, like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Like,
And then beyond that, like you take care of like the intricacies of like the applying and all that stuff, but it's so much bit like you are genuinely vested, it seems like. Because I've dealt with people like, hey, I'll get you on the phone, get you off. But then to have you like follow up and message and ask how we're doing and remember who we are, like that is I mean, like I know that sounds like, well, duh, but that's a big thing. Like, I know you're a busy person. Like,
yes.
I know, I don't know, you've probably helped hundreds, if not into the thousands of people. But you're still like, hey, like, how are y'all doing? You're that type of like showing that you're invested in somebody is what like really makes an internal switch flip to where
Yeah.
they're like, damn, like maybe I'm worse. It doesn't come across as like full of shit. It comes across as like, okay, somebody genuinely cares about my situation.
Yeah.
And thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You guys are awesome. Man, when I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna just play this video again.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm serious. Please don't stop doing what you're doing.
Please don't.
Like, if you need help, holler, because
Yes.
we're getting to where like we want to get out. And she's got a little while in school, but she's got a lot of experience and that type of thing. And I've got about 10 months left. But like, we want to go to work in this field, and God knows if down the road, if you need help in some way, let us know, because that would be a great way to like, we want to get that. And I see y'all, like, I wish we were closer. I'm kind of mad because we were close-ish over in Roswell. I feel like we were closer there than we are here. I feel like Roswell, Johns Creek was a little closer to Cherokee than Helen. Maybe not, I don't know. But now I feel like we're so far away, and I'm seeing like the rock stuff on Facebook and all like the stuff y'all do at night, or like dinners or karaoke, or and I'm just like, damn, I really want to be there. Like I want to come by and see it.
And I did want to just kind of throw this out there. A dream of ours.
Yeah.
We, through this whole journey of getting sober together and like really trying to maintain a marriage and grow it and make it healthy, we realized like how many hurdles and roadblocks and just
generally lack
of support
or treatments specifically tailored to like people in marriage or people in like serious relationships. When we were trying to find a place to go, now granted, we ended up going to separate places down the road, but I think that's what was needed at that time. I think if we could have found the right place right out of Mount Sinai in July, it would have been different, but it doesn't exist. Like everywhere you go, they want to separate you from your spouse for like a year. Don't talk to her. You know, you need to be away from your kids. But you get to a point where it's like, I've tried that over and over and over. And if you don't like heal together and like learn how to be sober together, then when you come back together, it's like there's no, the relationship needs as much healing as the person needs, you know?
Yeah, and
So
I
like
think,
down the road, we really want to like try to start a place that like kind of tailors to that and like brings kids into it somehow. I know No Longer Bound was kind of talking about doing it with like a transition style. They were going to like build a few houses and have families be able to come live there where they could do like classes and then they'd have like a community homeschool for kids or a daycare or something. But man, if you can like save the family, I feel like, or save the relationship and get the people sober, you could save the family, you know,
and
because it's
I think too, you know, I think I can speak for both of us. You know, we didn't have what a healthy marriage and family looks like modeled for us. Like we did not have that modeled. And I think, you know, that's the case with, you know, a lot of people in general, but a lot of addicts and alcoholics. And if they're given the opportunity to like learn how to have a healthy marriage and
be healthy parents,
like that sets them up for success. That sets the next generation up for success and so forth. You know, just the same way if you stay in addiction, you know, then your kids get in it and then
yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it as like foundationally a way to really get at the root of addiction. You know what I mean? Because I think it's a lot to do with like call it trauma, whatever, growing up, but you're not modeled the right stuff, you're seeing the wrong stuff. The parents are already using. So like if you can heal that, then you can stop the spread of it, I feel like, from going down. But we had to basically do our own. I mean, we had to really do some work and seek out a place that would like help us, or not even a place, like people here and there that could help us with our marriage and recovery. Because everybody we would go to talk to gave the same generic, you don't need to talk to her for a year. And it was like, man, I've tried that. You know, she's like, how does that help? Like, we don't talk for a year. Okay, then either our marriage grows apart or we come back together and don't know each other.
and
So
we
like
experienced that a lot over the years.
I don't know. It's something that's like really personal. Kind of like, I guess, you know, I guess people have experiences and then they want to like start stuff to help. But that's really what we're like in school for, is to do that, try to figure it out eventually. Like we're gonna make it happen one day. I just don't know how.
I have no doubts. In fact, man, I'm getting chill bumps hearing y'all talk about that because, yes, we need a lot of hope brought into marriages and family, because what happens is people get, they maintain their recovery, they start the recovery great, but then there's no support about how to do this with your spouse.
Well, there's not a lot of transition either. You know, like a lot of places have transition, and what that means is we're not going to keep as close an eye on you because we're going to get these new people in, so we can get an entry fee, and you're kind of like on the back. You got more freedom, but we're not. In fact, like transition should be the most intense period of therapy and counseling that you have, I think. But it is the least. It's the least looked at, the least. You're just kind of like, oh, you're good. You've been sober a year. It's like, no, man, like this is when I really need it. And a lot of things happen with relationships. I know we're like kind of off track here. I'm sorry. But
No,
I'm
we're
passionate.
going way off track, but it's kind of cool though.
But like this is what happens is relationships go in and they either grow apart or the person leaves treatment because they miss them so much, or infidelity happens. And that's what happens like 9 times out of 10. Like I've been in and out of treatment for 15 years. Very rarely have I seen a married person enter treatment, stay separated the way that is kind of the status quo right now, leave, go home, marriage be great, and stay sober. Like it just almost never happens. It's almost always a repeating door like we've experienced. And I think that's kind of what clicked last July when we called you. I got off the phone with you and I remember calling her, and some of it was like I knew like my marriage was over. And I was like, I don't want it to be over. And like the only thing that I could think that would help that is like, damn it, like let's just both go get treatment together. And that's what we did. And man, we fought. I mean, Mount Sinai was great, but even there, we had to like hammer, like, no, we want to do this together. Leaving there, we want to do this together. Coming back, we want to do this together. Now, we had to take some time apart in there because, like, you can't just be codependent the whole time, but like, you want to be involved with what's going on with your spouse. Like, that is the most sacred relationship you have.
Absolutely.
And it's just not, it's so frustrating because I know there's people. God, I'm sorry. It's my soapbox. Like I get really irritated.
I
about it.
think too, though, like, and this is a bone like I have to pick with AA and the 12 steps, you know, it's a good tool. It's a good tool. And I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but I don't think it goes
Well, I agree
in
with
depth enough, you know, like that. I feel like that is kind of just slapping a band-aid on it and kind of like, okay, we're going to get you sober. You're going to do these steps and this is going to kind of recenter you. Okay. But what happens after that? Because, you know, I mean, I feel like trauma, the word trauma is used a lot these days, but it's because it's a real thing that wasn't talked about years and years ago. Like it is a real thing that happens to people that shapes who they are, their way of thinking, the trajectory of their life. And if you don't heal that part of you and you don't really like get to the root of that, your sobriety, if you stay sober at all, is going to suck. Like you're not going to be fully in touch with who you are. You're still going to just be uncomfortable in your own skin. And so I feel like, you know, talking about the difficulties that we face, you know, being married, like, okay, so
I agree with this a lot. I think I
what,
know where you're going.
you know, okay, so like, okay, let's take some time apart, but what are they doing to help
Yeah. So like,
the individual heal? And okay, so all right, you and your wife need to take a time out, but we're about to really help you heal and learn how to be a better.
yeah. Well, too, also like, I think it is kind of starting to turn a little bit with that, but so I always think about No Longer Bound, and it's because that place did a really good job of like kind of marrying the two better than I've ever seen, like the clinical side and the like 12-step program side. Because I'm going to use an analogy here, but like in AA, you always want to do your 4-step and 5th step, figure out your character defects. So it's like, great. Why do I have the character defects? Okay. And No Longer Bound like jumped at that. And they were like, yeah, you are selfish at times. You are a people pleaser. You are sarcastic. You are scared a lot of times. You're controlling. Why? And so a lot of that had to go with like looking back at my childhood and saying like something as minuscule as like walking into my second grade class after getting my mom got me a flat top haircut. And when I walked in, everybody laughed. Now that sounds like something you shouldn't remember, but for whatever reason, I have like a very specific memory of that. I think it was like second grade. And from then on, I realized like if I can make fun of myself and be funny in a group of people, even when I'm supposed to be serious, then I can get by. And that has stuck with me forever. So like they're like digging at some of that. So that same concept applied to like what did I see as a marriage and as parenting? Well, with my dad and mom, well, they divorced when I was 2. So there's your first step. And then, my stepmom was a drug addict. She's dead now, like God bless her, but she died of an overdose. So I saw all this stuff. So it's manifesting now in my marriage. I'm going to AA just so, and AA is great. Don't get me wrong, I go every day. Um, But if I'm just like doing that, my marriage isn't getting better because I'm not addressing what's going on underneath it. And so like that's where I feel like therapy or some counseling or other modalities of treatment are so important that I feel
Yeah.
like that is the piece that a lot of time that people are in and out of meetings a lot, and you're
Mhm.
like, you're just not taking a first step right. It's like, no, MFer, like I know I'm powerless. Like I've been doing this 15 years. I know it. I'm trying, but like I didn't know that I needed to go deeper than that, you know? And I think if you can start addressing some of that and like trying to heal these other parts of life,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden like life is bearable sober, not just bearable, it's enjoyable. And they kind of feed off of each other, you know.
Yeah, and that, I mean, like, the way that I've started looking at recovery is, okay, yeah, we're gonna stop drinking, we're gonna stop drugging. Okay, but think about the word recovery. Like, are you only trying to like recover or heal this one part of your life, or are you trying to like recover and heal like your whole life?
Well,
All of what.
I'll speak to this. I'm going to shout out No Longer Bound again. They used to
Okay.
use the word regeneration,
Yes.
and like I liked it a lot better than recovery because it's
Yes.
like, what the
That's
hell
what
am
I
I
was
recovering to?
searching for.
You know, like I'm recovering to the same frame of reference that I've had my entire life. But like if I can really be tried to
Yes.
taught something new or like made into like a new way of living, then it's a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like, okay, you stop drinking, you stop drugging, but your rest of your life is still unhealthy. I mean, it's like having the one bad apple in the bunch. It's gonna eventually cause the rest of it to go bad. And this is so fragile. It takes one wrong thing in the rest of your life to go wrong, and then you're back to drinking and drugging. And we see it every day. And so it's like, why is that not common sense to heal all of it, all of the person, all of the family?
Y'all have a very holistic integration.
Sorry. I know you're like super busy. And I know you're probably like, good
No,
Lord.
no, I'm like totally geeking out on this. I'm like, these guys are talking my language. They're
No,
all
this is what we talk
integrative.
about all the time, and it's frustrating because you want to find people that, but a lot of times all you get is like, yeah, I went to a meeting. It's like, man, like there's a lot more going on here, I think, you know. Uh, but
I
I
love
don't want to like I know you're super busy. Like you tried
oh,
to fit me in at like 10 o'clock last night. I don't know how you work like you work.
You're fine. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. He said, oh, you probably have like 30 or 40 clients or maybe a couple hundred. Well, we just exceeded 5,000 clients.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And let me tell you, the more
I
I
didn't mean to be insulting. Good Lord.
the more I just try to, the more we as a team, because we have an amazing team. We got Amber, Mary, you guys know Mary, Amber, Mary, Bobby, John, Seth. I mean, we got a whole team of people that, make all this happen. So definitely not a one-man show. But if it's gonna be a one-man show, then we'll just call it the God show, okay? We'll let him
Yeah.
one-man show, but but
Amen.
yeah, I mean, but the more I try and slow down and just spend individual time with people like you guys and all, the more it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so it's great because then we get to bring on more people in recovery. We get to provide more jobs for people who are committed to a lifestyle of recovery. And we get to just, it's just
I
like an
guess that's kind
abundant
of the
way.
irony, you know, is that you want to be so individualized that people know they care, but you eventually get to a point it's so big that it becomes like a difficult thing to do. But whatever you're doing is obviously, I mean, it's amazing. And you obviously have some great, I didn't have a clue you had that many people.
I'm
Holy
getting,
crap.
I'm getting more people like
Well, I
you.
feel less bad now because I had this impression that you were just kind of doing stuff like for people to be nice and that I was sit like I've always I guess this is part of that core belief I had growing up that I'm like a nuisance to somebody. But I've always imagined like sending people your number and then you being like, golly, like I'm busy. Like you can't just be sending me people that need help. But then they'll message you down like, oh, she got that to me. I'm like, damn.
No, I am busy, but the cool thing is we get to the more people that, God brings us. That's my prayer every day is when I wake up, I'm like, God, put me in front of whoever you need to put me in front of today. I'll be your hands, I'll be your feet. I'm just a vessel.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So that's kind of a big statement to make because he just keeps pouring it on. So I'm like, all right, how am I going to handle all this? But then I get to find more people like you guys that have a passion and a heart like you guys. And then I'm like, okay, all right, let's hire another person. Let's hire another person.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to duplicate ourselves into people who we call ourselves integrative behavioral health coaches. But so that's what we do. We
No,
just
and that's what I love about y'all too, is that I don't see y'all just preaching like one thing. It's like y'all are like, hey, whoever needs it, come here. We'll give you a little bit of everything. Find what works for you. Because I kind of look at recovery as like this weird. Well, you kind of look at it from like the addiction, like what caused the addiction, and it's this weird recipe of like genetics and trauma and upbringing and environment, and everybody's is a little different. And if that's the case, then the treatment I think has got to be just as like individualized. It's not just going to be a cookie cutter thing for everybody. And I think that's where a lot of people, and myself included, have really fallen through the cracks of like, I am trying, but you're not quite getting everything you need. And so, like, when I see y'all throwing out SMART and Dharma and AA and church, if you want it, and none of that, just come hang out at a place. Like, that's what a lot of people need. It's just a freaking place to hang out. You
yeah.
know, it's like, you're doing something right.
Oh,
And I'm serious, like down the road, when we get to where we're going here shortly, if y'all need some freaking help, I promise, like, we want to help.
I like that. And
Like, obviously, we're still working on ourselves and we got a little ways to go, but, I know where I'm headed at least. I have like a beacon.
Yes.
that's so cool, man. You're on the pathway to life. That's all that matters. And who controls the pathway of life. What's really cool is I always tell people, last I checked, God still sits in the throne. Last I checked, nobody dethroned him. I mean, he's still there. So as long as you know he's in control, right? But
That's right.
that's so true. And I mean, apart from God, it's like we can't do anything. I mean, that's just the bottom truth. Apart from God is nothing. But yeah, this is cool though. I've watched God just totally blossom this thing so much into just amazingness. But I think it's no mistake that we actually had this whole conversation today because I was just looking for like a 60-second testimony.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel bad now. I feel like
No, please don't feel bad because you just gotta roll. You gotta roll with the spirit, and that's what we do. Just roll with it, right? So this is my no mistake because the passion that you have, the passion that I have, the passion our whole team has, you guys have a piece that is so cool about this passion for marriages and families and all that.
And it's lacking. That's what's so frustrating. It's like, I'm telling you, I have been around the block in treatment. Jacksonville, Florida, Savannah, Brunswick, Atlanta, all over the place. And it's never talked about. It's always like it's always done from this like point of view of like, that's bad. If that was part of your life before you got here, it's bad and you need to get away from it. And it's like, man, like, you know how discouraging that is? Like, if like that's the one thing you may have to hang on to for a little bit of hope to carry you through the first few months of getting off of drugs and alcohol, and you're now telling me that it's like the most contributing factor and it's not salvageable. I mean, golly,
like I said,
I get really fired up about it.
Yeah, you guys definitely give me chill bumps, and I'm just excited. I'm probably not gonna be able to sleep tonight because now I keep thinking of like this big vision that we've always had, and I'm like,
well,
okay,
yeah,
now
we've been like, if you knew, it's hilarious. If you knew, we drive around in the car sometimes, and we're like, we got to figure out a way to get this idea in front of Nadine because she like knows how to blow it up. And then like we know a few other people, but we're just for real. Like it's not even about like, oh, we just want it to be available.
okay. So I know the God who knows how to blow things up. That's the thing. Like me on my own, I could just destroy it on my own. But I know who to tap
You're
into.
right. I'll get down with that because I can relate to that.
Yeah, I tap into the one who really knows how to make things multiply. And that's what's so cool, because the more we try to be less of us, the more God increases. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And you know how they talk about some of us is the hand, some of us is the foot, some of us is the mouth, some of us is the brain, some of us is the rear end, some of us is, you know what I'm saying? When y'all said that about the marriages and family and all that, I'm like, dude, this is like the missing hand, like the missing organ. And so it's so cool. I know I really feel like we're gonna do more things together in the future. And
Please, I want to. Like,
God is,
we've been praying, like legitimately praying, like, please, if you can use our story or experience for
yeah,
anything, let it be this. Because like
Mhm.
marriages and the nuclear family, if you want to call it that, but like kids, that's where it starts. And I have such a problem sometimes, even with empathy, because I'm so over empathetic. I have trouble shutting it off, especially with my kids. Like I'll try to feel like I'll talk to my 9-year-old son, and I can't help but imagine that he's feeling like I felt when I was 9, and so like I want to stop that because I don't want to create another generation of like kids that's going to come up. And then we're like, why isn't addiction getting better? We're helping 1 out of 10 people in AA here and there. And it's like, well, why isn't it getting better, dude? Like, we're not doing anything to like stop it at the root, before they become addicted. Like, let's start the recovery before they ever have to get into a treatment center, you know?
you definitely have something going there.
Anyway, I don't want to keep you. We
No,
love you.
that's awesome. That's awesome, because yeah, you guys have been through several different programs and all that, and like you said, it can be very cookie cutter, because a lot of them are businesses and they're running businesses, and I get it. That's what they do because that's how they feed their family. And what's really beautiful is being able to do something, a ministry actually is what I call it, and not have to worry about it having to produce money to feed my family. So God's kind of taking care of my whole family on its own. So I don't have to, to this day, I've still never taken a paycheck. I don't even care if I ever do. It's way much rewarding just to feed off the dopamine of other people, of their happiness and their success. And so so it's interesting, it's fun to ride the God wave, because you don't ever have to be cookie cutter. You just flow in the spirit, and you can watch him bring things abundant without having to try. That's what's awesome.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
cool. Oh my gosh, I've had the best time with you guys.
Nadine, we
Like we
love
did a
you.
talk
Yes.
show.
We
We
love
do.
you.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your story.
Well,
Yeah.
please, like, we know you're busy, but stay in touch. Like,
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
try
I
to,
know.
I don't, I always want to like shoot you a message and just be like, hey, and I think I have a couple times just been like, hey, wanted to say thank you again, but I don't ever want to bother you because I know y'all are busy, but like
Yeah, go
now
for
after
it.
we've like, spent a little time, you're probably going to get bothered a little bit.
Yes.
So just,
Oh no,
just deal with us.
I love it. I love it. I'll probably shoot you guys a text message. It's just obnoxious, just to show that I'm human too.
No, oh, well,
Please.
Yeah.
please do. We need to see that.
Yes.
No, it was really great to spend time with you guys, and
Yes. Thank you.
it'll be interesting trying to cut up this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Has this been recording the whole time?
Yeah. No, this
It's
is
still recording right now?
yeah.
Oh man, I thought you turned it off.
Nah, that's so funny. Are you kidding? This is gonna
My
help a
bad.
lot of people. And it's like, I know, Stephen, I know that you said you're like, it's really not my thing. I don't know if I really want to do this, but okay, isn't it like step 12 about pass on the good message? Like doing
Yeah.
things like this really help encourage others. Well, hold on, Lexi, you've been in the background hearing this whole thing the whole time. Have you been encouraged?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. It was really good.
She's going to be talking about this. I know Lexi's really going to be talking about this. She's in a
Spread
new
it. Like,
relationship.
I don't know. I want that idea out into the like recovery world. Like, I really do. I don't,
Mhm.
I just want it out there. Like, cause I know I have friends that like hurts. Like, I know they're struggling with the same stuff we struggled with. And it's like, make some help available for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, we need to let God do some big things through us all together. I
Yes.
think so too. I can't wait to share this with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, holler at us. We love you
Yes.
so much.
Yes, good to talk to you guys. Thanks for taking your time to do this. And I'm gonna
Absolutely.
shoot you a funny text. All right.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
See y'all later.
Bye, Nadine.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.